You're watching World Insight with me, Tian Wei. Coming up in the program, 15 nations signed the RCEP trade pact in a rebuke of protectionist sentiments affecting large parts of the world. One of China's trade negotiators discusses the importance and hurdles of free trade and the potential for China-ASEAN cooperation.
We always describe that RCEP is a modern, comprehensive, mutually beneficial and high-quality FTA.
Welcome back. You're watching World Insight with me, Tian Wei. Let's take a look at the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, also known as RCEP. 15 ASEAN countries and 5 regional partners signed the agreement, arguably the largest free trade agreement in history. This agreement aims to lower tariff barriers, establish a systematic trade and investment system, and promote trade. This year also marks the 10th anniversary of the establishment of China-ASEAN Free Trade Area, China's first free trade area for foreign negotiations. The Free Trade Area has gone through a booming golden decade and achieved a series of landmark results. The trading bloc is vital to protect free trade and control the pandemic. How does a free trade negotiator view the significance of RCEP and other free trade talks? Zhang Shaogang, Vice Chairman of the China Council for Promotion of International Trade, offers his views on the importance of free trade and the current challenges facing it. Take a look. Vice Chairman Zhang, what a pleasure to see you. I remember dearly the conference taking place in Nanning.
Yes.
10 years for the China-ASEAN Free Trade Area. What do you think has been accomplished so far?
You know, the China-ASEAN FTA is the very, very first FTA China set up in the history. I have been personally working on this FTA for many, many years since the inception of the negotiation of this FTA. The China-ASEAN FTA negotiations started in 2002, 18 years ago, and it was fully established in 2010. Up to now, it has been already 10 years. So this year exactly marks the 10th anniversary of full establishment of China-ASEAN FTA. When we look back the history of operation and implementation of this FTA, I think people may have the right to be very proudly to say it is a golden year, golden decade for China and ASEAN. In terms of trading goods, that is one of the major areas for any FTA. We can see between 2010 to the 2019, the bilateral trade between China and the ASEAN countries increased by more than 1 time. And if we look at the trade value in 2005, at that time, the trading goods agreement between China and ASEAN just took effect. At that time, since then, if we compare the trade statistics, the trade volume increased even by 4 times. That is, yes, very impressive figure. When we look at the trade in services, that is also a very major part of any FTA. The trading services between China and ASEAN between 2010 and 2019, it increased by 1.5 times. That's also very dramatic.
Absolutely impressive. I was talking to some EU trade scholars, and they were saying, you know, Tian Wei, world is changing so fast. We're not the biggest trading partner of China anymore, but ASEAN. So I guess what you have just said really indicated the big change we're seeing. But it's not just the free trade area. It's also the RCEP. At a time when protectionism is running high, China-ASEAN managed to get this done. which has also been through some ups and downs for years. So, Mr. Zhang, tell me more about what's next with the RCEP.
We always describe that RCEP is a modern, comprehensive, mutually beneficial, and a high-quality FTA. So, generally speaking, in terms of standard, RCEP, I could say, the regulation, the rules, and the level of liberalization are higher than the, generally speaking, are higher than the existing FTAs. So I think just take the China-ASEAN FTA free trade arrangement as an example. For the majority of area of rules, the China-ASEAN FTA still have some gap to compare with the RCEP. And I think maybe in the near future, we may consider another upgrading plan, to consider another upgrading protocol to elevate the level of China-ASEAN FTA to make it more consistent and compatible with RCEP to reach at the same level at the minimum.
I remember dearly that conversation we had, you and the other chief negotiators representing different economies in the China-ASEAN Free Trade Area, and you were all talking dearly about each other and about this common cause. That really bonds people together, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, I don't know how many times you visit your brother and sister within a year. But for the negotiators, such as the China-ASEAN FTA negotiator or the RCEP negotiators, you know how many times they got to meet with each other every year?
So what's on your yearly schedule?
I think it should be about 10 times. You know, each and every year, yearly, we might have 4 or 5 round formal negotiations. And we will have 4 or 5 round informal negotiations. And at the negotiators, we have informal negotiations. As a negotiator, sometimes we need to accompany our minister to attend the ministerial level RCEP meetings. So that creates a lot of opportunity for those negotiators to see each other and talk to each other. And
you know each other's personality very well, I guess.
Sure. And we can take advantage of that.
As a negotiator, of course. But as a friend, I'm sure that will be all interesting. Tell me more about how do you see some people only suggesting that RCEP is only symbolic? It might not necessarily in real have much real essence?
It is totally wrong. Normally, when we look at any FTAs or study the quality of FTA, we view this FTA basically on the on 2 dimensions. One is market access. The other is rules part. When we talk about the market access, we can further classify into 3 categories, namely trade in goods, trade in services, and investment. So along this line, let me give you some real picture of RCEP. In terms of trade in goods, for all the 15 RCEP members, the level of liberalization for trade in goods covers 90% or over 90% of tariff land. That means within 10 years or even shorter, all the 19% tariff will be eliminated, and majority of those tariff land will be brought down to 0 at the day 1 of the entry into force of this agreement. So it's not a low level, it is really a high level. And if we consider the fact that the RCEP is not a totally brand new FTA, it's built upon 4 existing China Plus One FTAs, and also plus several existing bilateral FTAs, such as China-Korea FTA, China-New Zealand FTA, Australia, Japan, Australia, Korea FTA. So if we consider all those elements together, in reality and in fact, the real liberalization level for trading goods is much higher than 90%. All the 15 countries make further commitment for the services liberalization based on the existing 4 ASEAN Plus FTAs. Let me just take China as an example. The starting point for China to make concession is our WTO commitment. It covers 100 sectors. Within those 100 sectors, we pick up 37 sectors to make further improvement. And additionally, apart from those 100 sectors, we make new commitment covering 22 sectors. So altogether, the RCEP cover 122 sectors for China.
I've been asking trade negotiators in other parts of the world and also the business community, for example, in North America, such as the United States. The chairman, the president of U.S.-China Business Council, after the signing of RCEP being announced, he immediately told me that he and his members, the most important thing they're thinking about is how to tap into RCEP so that there will be advantages for American businesses, even though the United States as a country is not part of RCEP.
You raise really a very important point. And actually, within this state, I was questioned with this question from a lot of TNCs based in China. They want to ask me, this is FTA among 15 countries, and my country is not a part of that. How could we take the advantage of this new potential?
Yeah.
It's not so difficult for them to take the advantage because FTA, by definition, is a free trade arrangement. It provides favorable or more favorable treatment to its members, and it also opens the market to the non-members if they want to make investment in this region. And I think the most significant contribution of RCEP is to create a giant, unified single market in this region. It combines all the 15 countries into one single market. In other words, in the future, when you make your strategic plan for your investment or for you to conduct trade in this region, you don't need necessarily to focus only on one country, such as China, such as Thailand, Vietnam. You can trade all the 15 countries as a whole, as a single market. You need to avoid the country-specific view and adopt a regional view to consider your business plan in this region. So when the market is integrated, it's unified, you can brace a very, very huge market with significant potential to be tapped.
Mr. Zhang, from your organization, CCPIT, you're representing and working with Chinese business communities. So how do you think your organization would also play a role? I mean, you have your role switched, right, from the chief negotiator now to serve the business community. So how do you think your organization would play a role?
I think CCPIT will play our unique role for the promotion and the implementation of RCEP. Why I say this? You know, CCPIT is the largest trade promotion and investment promotion agencies in China, we have the ability to connect both government and enterprises, and also bridge both domestic business community with foreign communities. So we will continue to play our bridging role for the possible future implementation of RCEP. At the current stage, at the very initial stage of RCEP, because the agreement was just signed a month ago, at this stage, I think basically CCPIT will consider to focus on three things. The first thing is promotion. We will fully utilize our publicity platform like CCPIT website, China Trade Daily, and also our FTA service centers to further promote the information of RCEP and increase the awareness of general public and enterprises to understand the miracle, the favorable policies, the market access arrangement of the RCEP, so that they can make due preparation for the future implementation. So this is the first thing, to promote RCEP. The second is training. You know, a lot of people have no idea about RCEP. They just understand, oh, this is a very important agreement in this region, but how we can use it? I think they give right to the room for CCPIT to play our part. So now we already formulate a plan to organize a series of training courses, seminars, and workshops nationwide. And number three, I think we can do is the coordination. We will work very closely with the similar trade promotion agencies in other RCEP countries or the business associations in other countries. We can jointly promote the RCEP and consolidate our position to lobby the government to consider the early ratification and entry into force of this agreement, so that our business community can have some early benefit of it.
But finally, before we go, Mr. Zhang, I'm still extremely curious. From the members signing the RCEP to eventually ratification by all the economies, what kind of time frame are we looking at? When can these economies benefit from it? When can business communities around the world can say, I can tap into this and see some potential?
Certainly for business community, as soon as possible. This is the best scenario. According to the RCEP agreement, in order to allow the entry into force of RCEP agreement, we need at least 6 of 10 ASEAN countries and 3 of 5 non-ASEAN countries to ratify the agreement first. To my understanding, as we all heard that all the 15 members have indicated their support to the agreement. So I don't think it's going to be a very difficult thing to gather 9 votes at the first place. And maybe we can get 15 votes altogether to ratify the agreement. And taking into account of the time requirement to finalize the domestic procedure, normally it is about half a year and maybe a little bit longer. So my judgment is that the RCEP agreement will enter into force in July 2021 at the earliest. And maybe it will take into effect at the end of next year or very early the year after. So Possibly, it might be a time in between. Certainly, I prefer the agreement to enter into force in July next year.
Well, it seems you are saying we're already seeing the light at the end of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations once again for years of negotiations, Mr. Zhang, you and your fellow negotiators in different economies. And thank you so much for your insights.
Thank you for having me today.
Thank you so much, sir. And that's all the time we have for today. If you'd like to see more, search World Insight or check out our YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook. I'm Tian Wei. On behalf of the team, thanks for watching. Bye.